I poisoned his drink. He asked for a second glass. The night tasted like rain and ash when I walked into the lantern room with a lie tucked under my tongue. The city glittered below the windows, ribbons of wet light on the river, taxis hissing along the quay, and every surface inside glowed a soft amber, like a sunset captured in glass. He was already at the corner table, waiting, the way powerful men wait, as if time were a servant that knelt. Dorian Vale smiled when he saw me, the sort of smile that travels slowly, deciding what to keep. "You're late, Miss Cade." "I was choosing the right story to tell," I said, sliding into the seat opposite. His cufflinks caught the light in tiny starbursts. Behind the bar, the bartender lowered his eyes like a priest. Dorian's reputation entered rooms before he did. Philanthropist above ground, something colder in the tunnels beneath. I had met men like him. I had not met men like him. The difference had a shape I couldn't name. He gestured to the decanter between us. "Shall we begin?" I poured because I'd rehearsed pouring. Angle of wrist, steady hand, eyes up. I tipped the cut crystal and watched the amber flood a pair of tumblers. A gesture so simple it could be mistaken for mercy. The vial hidden in the lining of my glove shifted, cool as doubt against my wrist. In the alley that afternoon, the woman who owned my debts and the breath in my brother's lungs had pressed the vial into my palm. "A sip is a sleep," she'd said. "A glass is a burial. We prefer burials." "I prefer sunrises," I had not said. Now, in the lantern room, Dorian lifted his glass. "A story, then. What brings a woman with eyes like rain to my table?" "Curiosity." I raised mine. The rim kissed my lip. He drank. I did not. He set his glass down and studied me. "You poured that like a confession. And you drank it like a dare. Perhaps I enjoy dares." His thumb traced the condensation on the glass, drawing a circle that caught and held light. "Perhaps I enjoy seeing what people will do when they believe no one is watching." I thought of Tomas, my brother, waiting in a room without windows for a debt to be paid by a body that wasn't his. The city's hum pressed against the windows like a tide. Somewhere, a siren wailed and fell silent, as if ashamed to be heard. "Tell me, Miss Cade," Dorian said softly. "If you had come to kill me, would you have chosen this drink?" The lie cracked in my mouth, sharp as sugar glass. "I came to sell you a story." I took the vial from my glove, turned it in the lamplight so it flashed like a small, bright lie. "And to see what truth you'd buy in return." He did not start. He did not call for guards. He glanced at the vial as if it were an old photograph he kept meaning to frame. "You don't strike me as a killer." "Good." Cap the vial. My hand did not shake. "I'm not. But I am a sister." The bartender vanished into the hush like a curtain being drawn. Outside, rain began in earnest, stitching the river into a darker cloth. Dorian looked down at his glass, then back at me, and something changed in his face that felt like a door unlocking on the wrong side of a room. "I'm told," he said, "that your brother plays the violin." The sound in my chest was not a word. "Who told you that?" "People who owe me their attention." "He plays Bach badly and lullabies beautifully." Dorian tipped his empty glass, listening to the hollow ring. "I could end this in a whisper, Miss Cade. The men who sent you know this. They misjudged two things: my curiosity, and your hunger for a world where your brother's music exits the room alive." "Then why drink?" My voice was softer than the rain. He smiled, but it didn't reach the place where fear and courage share a border. "Because sometimes the shortest way through the trap is forward. And because I wanted to meet the woman who brought it to my table with her hands clean and her eyes open." He slid the empty glass toward me. "Pour me a second." The request knocked the room slightly off its axis. If I refused, I'd be compromised. If I complied, I'd be complicit. The vial felt heavy as fate in my glove. What happens if I do? Then we'll both know what we are. Poured. The liquid lit the glass like a captured flame. I did not touch the vial. I slid the glass across the table. He lifted it but didn't drink. He inhaled, as if scent alone might tell him the future. He set it down. That woman who holds your debt, she calls herself a mother to orphans she made. I've been unseating her for years, one chair leg at a time. He paused. She knew I'd meet you tonight. Her watchers are in the hallway now, waiting for the signal. A man who doesn't rise, a woman who does. The moment either happens, your brother will vanish into a van that never reaches a light. The lantern room felt colder, as if the rain had found a way in. So we give them another story, he said. I'm listening. You stand up. I clutch my throat. The bartender, who is mine, not theirs, kills the lights for 3 seconds. In the dark, my doctor stims my heart to a rhythm that reads as a fade. You stumble out weeping. They follow you. They call to confirm my end to their queen. While they gloat, we cut the leash around your brother's neck. I give you back your future in exchange for your honesty. And my honesty buys what exactly? Names, Dorian said. He leaned in. The lamplight made conspirators of us both. Who sent you, who sits where, which doors they leave open because they believe fear will do the locking. Information is the difference between poison and medicine. You'll help Tomas. Saying my brother's name aloud steadied me. You'll help far more than Tomas, he said. But yes. First him. The hallway outside stirred. The soft scratch of expensive shoes. The wet hiss of coats shaken dry. Someone checked a watch, a little show for the door. Understood. Dorian brought his hand to his throat and widened his eyes. Theater and truth folding into one. The bartender palmed the switch. Darkness fell like a curtain. In the dark, a hand I didn't recognize brushed mine, fast and professional, followed by the crisp click of a medical device against flesh. A thready beep galloped, stuttered, slowed. In the dark, I began to cry because the script required it and because something in me had been waiting years to be allowed to. 3 seconds stretched into something longer than time. The lights rose. Dorian was slumped artfully to one side, the second glass resting on its side, a golden line of liquid mourning the table. The bartender's voice, steady and shaking both, called for help that would arrive too late. I stumbled into the hallway. The watchers straightened, their faces bright with victory's low light. One touched my shoulder. It's done. It's done, I whispered, and the hallway swallowed us all. Before dawn, a van without a past idled in a warehouse with a future. Tomas stepped out into the smell of oil and wet cardboard. His violin case clutched to his chest like a saint's spine. When he saw me, he made the same small sound he'd made when we were children and thunderstorms arrived without knocking. We drove to the river. The city was new-washed. Bridges and buildings softened to the same gentle gray you only see just before morning. Tomas tuned his violin, because his hands needed something beautiful to hold. I set the empty vial on the rail and flicked it into the water. It vanished without a ripple I could keep. Dorian arrived on foot, a scarf around his throat, the color of mercy. He looked thinner than he had an hour ago, but alive in a way that suggested the first breath after a dive. "Second glass?" he asked, and for a heartbeat I thought he meant the drink. But he held out a paper cup of coffee, steam coiling like a small, forgiving ghost. Took it. We watched the river take the night away piece by piece. "Men like the woman who sent you," he said, believe stories only end one way. They forget who tells them. So we tell another, I said. Tomas played then. A tune our mother had sung. Something about the sun finding a window even on days the house forgot it had one. Pedestrians slowed. The river listened. Dorian lifted his own cup in a small salute. To bitter truths, he said, and the hands that stop the poison before it crosses a mouth. I raised mine. The city lifted its lids and blinked. For the first time in a very long time, morning felt like a door that opened toward us.